I'm Alex,
And I'm Brennan.
with our special guest, Marcel.
Hi guys, thanks for having me.
And today on our Guide to the Galaxy, we're taking a look at a very special holiday to the Star Wars universe, that holiday being Life Day, which was depicted in the Star Wars Holiday Special released in 1978, as well as being depicted in further media. And today we're going to look at the similarities between Life Day and the real-world holidays, Christmas and Thanksgiving, and kind of compare and contrast and debate what really is Life Day more similar to. Is it more similar to Thanksgiving or Christmas? So what do you guys think?
I think it's more like Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I think it's pretty clearly intended to be a Thanksgiving holiday, but I think maybe its meaning has changed over time. We can get into that.
Yeah.
I was going to say the Star Wars Holiday Special actually aired November 17th of 1978. So I'm not sure when Thanksgiving was exactly that year, but that seems to have been lined up with a Thanksgiving release.
Yeah, Thanksgiving that year was on November 23rd, 1978.
So it was released right before it, as a
Yep.
sort of Thanksgiving's coming up, guys, type of deal.
Perhaps we should explain what Life Day is.
Well, Alex, do you want to explain it, or
I'm gonna have some trouble to explain it.
Okay,
Life
I
Day,
can take a crack at it. So it's a primarily Wookiee holiday, but I think it's celebrated by others across the galaxy in the Star Wars universe. But it's primarily a Wookiee holiday, and it's a celebration of that planet's diverse ecosystem. It's also a time to honor and remember family members, those who have died, those who are elders, those who are young to the tribe. Also, it's considered a sacred holiday. So many Wookiees consider it their duty to return to Kashyyyk in order to celebrate Life Day. So it's almost like a homecoming for a lot of these Wookiees, right? They have to come home.
and celebrate when you said their ecosystem. A big part of their ecosystem, of course, is the not. I'm gonna butcher how you say this. The Roshir trees. How would you say that, Marcel?
Yeah, I think your first pronunciation is pretty good. The Roshir trees.
And the Roshir trees are, of course, what the Wookiees have built their civilization in. They live in these trees. They depend on these trees. And since that is one of the primary major parts of their society, it is the primary part of their ecosystem that they celebrate. They celebrate the trees. Like, obviously, the ecosystem as a whole, like Marcel said, but the trees have a special symbolism, I believe, to the Wookiees during Life Day.
So Life Day was first introduced as a concept in the Star Wars universe in the Star Wars Holiday Special, right? And the basic premise to that film is that Han Solo is trying to get Chewbacca back home to his family on Kashyyyk. That's his wife, Mala, his son, Lumpy, and his father, Itchy, so that he can celebrate Life Day with them. Now, Kashyyyk it's occupied by the Empire, and so the Empire is not only trying to stop Han and Chewie from getting back home, but they're also on the planet looking for rebel subversives. So that's like the basic premise of the film or the holiday special.
That's the main plot, and then it is like half of it is a bunch of things that have nothing to do with that plot.
Musical performances.
Yes. The other half is to pad out the runtime.
Basically,
It's incredible.
At the end of this, I'll be recreating Princess Leia singing the Life Day song, so stick around for that.
It is indeed incredible. And something I wanted to tack on, which is something that maybe a lot of people don't know about Life Day, is how ancient it actually is as a holiday. Because you might expect maybe, since it's being celebrated, in the Galactic Civil War era, that maybe it's a more recent holiday. Maybe it was created during the prequels. Well, actually, there is an article from StarWars.com called Slug Throwers, an overview of popular music and musicians in a galaxy far, far away. And in part one of this article series, it mentioned that the earliest known instances of the Wookiees celebrating Life Day were playing something called tree drum music to celebrate Life Day. And this event actually occurred when they first started celebrating Life Day in 1,500,000 BBY. So it's an incredibly ancient tradition and holiday, which is why it may have become sacred to the Wookiees over time.
The types of things that they do during Life Day, in preparation for it, they cook a big meal, they consume treats. I think in the holiday special, they have those cookies called Wookie Ookies.
Yeah.
They play music, like Brennan just mentioned.
They carol as well.
They carol, right?
Weird reality things that are
They
maybe
put up-
not for children.
Their VR headsets, yes.
Yeah, they play games, which is a big thing that I still do holidays, even though I'm not a kid anymore. And they decorate trees.
They also give. Did you say give gifts? Because they also give presents to each other.
They give gifts to each other. So I mean, obviously there's indicators there that make you think that it's maybe a Christmas holiday, right? Like the gift giving, the decorating of the trees.
The Wookie Ookies, which are maybe evoking Christmas cookies, which are a popular tradition.
That's right.
For many.
But if you look sort of deeper into it, especially the timing of when it came out, I think it's very clearly intended to be a Thanksgiving holiday. There is a quote that Leia says. She says that this day will always be a day of joy in which we can reconfirm our dedication and our courage, and more than anything else, our love for one another. I mean, I think that people are doing that during Christmas too, but that's very clearly let's be thankful for the people in our lives. That kind of notion, which I think is very clearly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and definitely a lot of themes of Thanksgiving and being celebrated. And what I think might have inspired it to be more Christmas is that this is just a theory that I'm going off of, because the holiday of Life Day originated with the Wookiees, but over time, as other species made contact with the Wookiees, other species started to take part in the festivities. Perhaps the gift giving wasn't a part of it until other species got involved. Perhaps the decorating wasn't part of it until other species got involved. Perhaps many of the traditions that are more Christmassy and more based in material things were influenced by other species as other species began celebrating it. And the Wookiees were forced to adapt with their holiday. It became less of a Thanksgiving, let's be thankful type of deal, although that is still at the core of it, and became also let's decorate our trees, let's give presents to each other, and it became more materialized perhaps as other cultures started to influence and accept Life Day. But that's just a theory I have.
So perhaps the Star Wars equivalent of Thanksgiving and Christmas simply merged into one.
Yeah, I think that's the answer. I think also part of the confusion is generated by the MMORPGs like Star Wars Galaxies or the Old Republic, which use Life Day as a concept for festive in-game events and promotions. And they have a decidedly Christmas look to them. It's because people identify with Christmas, I think, a little more easily than Thanksgiving. It's easier to, put up lights and trees and that kind of stuff, and people get it. It's like, okay, that's Christmas. So a lot of the confusion's been kind of generated by the fact that Life Day, at least in the online Star Wars games, has kind of shifted to a more Christmas type setting as opposed to a Thanksgiving type setting, which is a little harder to visually represent.
And like you said, with visual representations in SWTOR, I distinctly recall images, which I will edit up onto the screen, of SWTOR player kits with green and red colors, symbolic of Christmas. Like you said, it's got more recognizability with the audience. So, they have green and red robes and even snowflakes on their avatars to celebrate Life Day. So they definitely made it more like Christmas for recognizability. And also, the holiday special has often commonly been mistitled as the Star Wars Christmas special. I've heard lots of people refer to the Star Wars holiday special as the Star Wars Christmas special. So, over time, not only maybe in the Star Wars universe, but in our universe, in real life, people started to identify the holiday more with Christmas rather than Thanksgiving. And like you said, that can be because of these online games that are trying to, evoke a response from the players there. And like you said, it's pretty hard to visually represent Thanksgiving as opposed to Christmas, which has, instant recognizability.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The other thing that I was thinking about was the whole decorating of the trees aspect isn't mutually exclusive to Christmas, because when you think about it, a lot of families tend to decorate their trees after Thanksgiving or during Thanksgiving. It's one of the activities that they do in preparation for Christmas. So I just don't think it's exclusively Christmas type of activity, and maybe even supports the notion that this is truly a Thanksgiving holiday, or at least was intended to be in its original conception.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're You're very right there. My family has always put up the Christmas tree right around Thanksgiving. But a Christmas tradition that might be more in my family is every year we would put on our father's shirt, which when you're 4 years old and 2 years old, me and my sibling, you know, the shirt dwarfs you. So it's like you're wearing a giant blanket. And as every year you take a photo in front of the tree wearing this shirt, it shows you growing and getting older. Eventually, you start to fill out the shirt, right? And for some reason, every time I saw in the Star Wars Holiday Special their Life Day robes, it made me think of this tradition that only my family really had, or at least to my knowledge. So that was something that really evoked Christmas to me with the Holiday Special, even though a lot of the themes are Thanksgiving-like. Those robes really struck me as, like that's reminding me of what we do every year.
Yeah, and those robes are red, right? Which is also it's traditionally a Christmas color. So
Yeah,
That is true.
absolutely.
What is the color of Thanksgiving? Brown?
yeah, I would say more earth tones, right? Because you have
Brown, yellow,
harvest
orange.
colors. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
the leaves.
Yeah. So I can see the confusion there too.
Yeah, and to make the games have brown, yellow, orange colors, wouldn't exactly make someone think Thanksgiving. Perhaps even though those are the colors of Thanksgiving, they're not as immediately recognizable as green and red means Christmas.
Yeah, I think also part of the confusion was also generated by StarWars.com, which, if I recall, back in the day, used to wish people a happy Life Day in and around the Christmas holidays as opposed to Thanksgiving. So, it very much has become, I think, this amalgamation of the two holidays at this point in time. But I can recall seeing people on Twitter, during Thanksgiving back in late November, wishing people a happy Life Day. So obviously there's a big contingent of people out there that recognize and to respect the fact that it was originally intended to be a Thanksgiving analog.
Or it was intended to be a Christmas special, but so more aligns with Thanksgiving that's just what we're all coming to the conclusion of.
Yeah, that's possible too.
Yeah, because the holiday special wasn't immediately disliked by people. They may have intended to air it in all of the weeks leading up to Christmas. Maybe November 27th was the beginning. They were going to rerun it all the way up to the lead up till Christmas until everybody hated it and George decided to pull it.
That's true.
Might be worth talking about just very briefly, what your opinions are on the holiday special itself, seeing as we're talking about the holiday that it introduced into the Star Wars universe.
Alex, what do you feel about the Star Wars holiday special?
It is, it's like, do you know the Star Wars Visionary comic with, what's that guy's name? I forget his name. The Techno Union guy?
Walt Tambor.
Wat Tambor, yeah.
Yeah. That's what it feels like. Like
Tambor
watching the holiday special.
And the quest for the albino Cyclops eye or something. I can't remember the title.
That's what it feels like. It feels like an acid trip. It's the best drug I've ever had without ever having to have any drugs in my life. So I think the actual base story of trying to get Chewie to see his family is actually pretty decent for a special. And then it's just the acid trip of the rest of it with all the variety hour stuff. And I think my favorite of those is probably the random cook that's like super excited about cooking. I just thought that was hilarious.
I think her name's Gourmanda.
Yes,
like
indeed.
that. I had made the joke earlier that she was a Kodru G from the Crystal Star, those 4-armed aliens that
Who
Leia was
canines?
Yeah,
Canines before transforming. Yeah.
exactly, because she has 4 arms. So, but upon further research, her race is unidentified, so it's left up. It's still a mystery.
I may be incorrect, but I believe Gourmandu was a reference was made to them in Legacy of the Force. I could be wrong.
That would be a really random one. Man.
Yeah, I've found over the years that there are these random references and homages and Easter eggs to the holiday special. And I think it's because a lot of people grew up with the holiday special, even though it was fairly rare. People watched it, and even though it's generally considered to be bad, I think it inspired a lot of people. It helped keep that flame of Star Wars alive while we were waiting for the 5th film to come out. So I don't know. I thought it was a fun trip. This is the first time I've seen it in 20 years of preparation for this episode, and I enjoyed it. So you can't take these things too seriously.
I earlier watched it myself for what was either the 8th or 9th time, and I personally love the Star Wars Holiday Special. It's so bad it's good, right? And
Exactly.
I've forced numerous relatives to sit and watch it with me. Numerous unlucky aunts and uncles and cousins have been sucked down this rabbit hole of terror and joy all at once. And I think I have ruined lives and made lives for people.
Is there anything else that is there anything else we'd like to say about this topic?
Yeah, I would like to say that it's great how the Star Wars EU, in all of its beauty, could have just ignored the holiday special, and instead the Marvel Comics brought back Lumpy, and Legacy of the Force brought back Mala and Itchy and Lumpy in New Jedi Order and Legacy of the Force, excuse me. And then the events of it are referenced in the Wookiee storybook with Life Day and Wookiee Ookies and all that. And that time Chewie almost didn't get home, and I think it's really great that the EU didn't forget that it existed, and it just continued to reference it. That's just the beauty of the EU. They considered everything canon, and so would continually reference everything that they considered to be canon.
Absolutely.
And that's the wonder of the EU.
And there's the Forest Apart, I think it is, short story by Troy Denning as well. Or it's Mala and Lumpy's trying to make Chewbacca proud, and so he's doing stuff on Coruscant. And that's, the fact that they're even in the story is a reference to the holiday special where they're introduced.
Absolutely, and it's a fantastic story too, one that I would recommend.
Yeah, I love how...
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I love how Life Day has become this big thing in the Star Wars universe. That even if you've never watched the holiday special, you know what Life Day is, or you've heard of it if you're a Star Wars fan. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, Life Day is kind of immortalized somehow within Star Wars fans, and even non-Star Wars fans may have caught wind of it.
But what's interesting? The Star Wars universe is in a galaxy far, far away, a long time ago. So what if our Thanksgiving and Christmas is actually just a misunderstanding of Life Day?
A misinterpretation through the years?
I love it.
That is canon now. That'll be in Supernatural Encounters. Just you wait.
Yes, Joe Bongiorno had better pull the book back from the printers and re-edit it.
I bet Robert J. Sawyer was going to put it in Alien Exodus, but just ran out of time before the project got canceled. So here we go.
Yep.
We know E.T. will be celebrating Life Day.
That's right.
Absolutely. E.T. probably thought Halloween was, in E.T., he probably thought Halloween, when it was celebrated, was just thoroughly confusing how misconstrued Life Day had become.
Yeah. Death Day.
Yeah. Well, I think we've pretty much discussed everything we wanted to.
Yeah.
Absolutely. This is a definitive and comprehensive answer on the debate regarding Life Day, if it's more like Christmas or like Thanksgiving, and then it covered everything in between and beyond.
And if anyone disagrees, they're wrong.
But regardless of whether or not you agree or disagree, we hope that you either had a great Life Day if you celebrated Thanksgiving this past November, or that you will have a great Life Day if you're celebrating Christmas in the coming weeks.
Yes. And thank you, Marcel, for joining us on this very important Star Wars topic.
Perhaps the most important Star Wars topic. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And if you go on YouTube, you can find this wonderful man, Marcel, on YouTube as the Revanchist, where he will go, or Revanchist, and he will go and read every single Star Wars short story known to man.
In the expanded universe.
In the expanded universe specifically. My apologies.
Eventually, we'll get there. It might take a couple years, but we're getting there slowly.
Yeah. It's great stuff. Definitely worth a look.
Absolutely. Fingers crossed that by 2030 he'll have some entire novelizations read.
Yes.
We'll see about that.
Yep. Until next time, everyone, keep loving the EU.
And we hope you had a happy life day, whether it was in the past or the future.
Absolutely. And to many more happy life days.